But I do want to just say happy October the 1st. Hard to believe it's October already. There we go. So I know that a lot of you in the media and many people at home have been asking, what about Halloween? So that's why we're here today, to announce a number of public health recommendations for a safe Halloween in the city of St. Louis. But let me just be really upfront about the good news. Halloween is not canceled this year. But like all of our holidays and big events for the last 7 months, we're asking everyone to take a few extra precautions so that we can all celebrate Halloween, eat candy, have fun, and be safe. So we can have fun and keep our community safe during COVID-19. And to talk about that specifically, I want to turn this over to Dr. Eccles.
Thank you, Mayor. Sure. As we all know, Halloween is a time of wonder and excitement for children and adults. As it lends the opportunity to pretend to be someone or something else. So we're able to escape from the day-to-day pressures of life and really pretend to be something else for a brief period of time. That something could be a character from a comic or TV movie, a professional sports player, or an important figure in their lives. This chance to enjoy and escape from the day-to-day activities may look different this year during COVID, and it should, because we have to be mindful that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. But it can still be possible with preventative measures. Taking a few additional steps this year will be necessary to protect your health, the health of your family, and the health of the community at large. The physical distancing requirements as well as face covering requirements will all be applicable during this year's Halloween activities. It doesn't mean that that it will be a damper on your activity. You just have to do it a little differently. So we ask for parents, children, business owners, we ask for everyone to really do their part in making sure that we are able to engage in Halloween activities in a safe manner. One way that you can do that is by having a social distant trunk or treat, meaning that things are physically distanced, they're properly physically distanced. We have prepackaged goodies for kids or adults, because I like candy too, so I may stop by. And so individuals will not have to put their hands into individual baskets to grab individual pieces of candy. This helps prevent the spread of COVID-19. Just to remind you of how COVID-19 is spread. It's spread by respiratory transmission, meaning infected respiratory droplets that are exhaled by individuals when they talk, sing, shout, can be spread to others as it goes into the air. Infection occurs when the infected respiratory droplets are inhaled by individuals that are exposed. And again, the goal here is to make sure that we're preventing the spread of COVID-19 in our community. So it will be really important for everyone that participates in Halloween activities to adhere to the City of St. Louis requirements regarding face coverings, social distancing, hygiene, washing your hands regularly with soap and water, using hand sanitizer when soap and water are not available. And if you're ill, we ask that you not engage this year. Maybe have your family or your family member or friend go out and get candy for you. Or you can order on Amazon. All reasonable options. So this year, again, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. We understand that Halloween is important for all of us. The COVID-19 has been really stressful for us all, and so this can be a break to really take a breather from the stresses of the pandemic. But we have to do so safely. And so again, adhering to those preventative measures are critical to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in our community. So I'll say it again. Socially distancing yourself from others, especially those who are not in your household. Maintaining at least 6 feet distance. Washing your hands with soap and water, using hand sanitizer when soap and water are not available. Wearing a face covering when you're out in public, and especially in situations where you're not able to maintain 6 feet of distance between yourself and others. And stay home if you're ill. Have a happy Halloween, St. Louis. We can do it safely. Thank you.
So, Doctor, could you highlight for me, are you saying it's a bad idea to have a community bowl of candy bars that several hands go into, that it could spread by those several hands touching the bowl of candy bars?
That is correct. So our goal here is to reduce the risk of transmission. And so by having prepackaged bags, similar to those that are on the table here, it reduces the risk that COVID-19 and other illnesses can be spread to others during these activities.
A lot of the recommendations that are being put out are basically based on the CDC recommendations. Like, do you have any concerns specific to St. Louis or just, you know, specific block parties that might happen here in neighborhoods or anything that specifically concerns you about your area, about St. Louis and Holland?
Yeah, so we're not encouraging large social gatherings and events of that sort, and that'll be outlined in the guidance. But we have to focus on prevention. And so if individuals understand how to prevent COVID-19 from spreading, they can take the necessary measures and implement the necessary measures in an effective way during the Halloween time.
A lot of times you not only have the private businesses that put on these haunted houses, but you have nonprofit organizations that use them for fundraisers, et cetera. Is it even possible to do it safely this year at all, put on something like a haunted house?
It is possible to do it safely. However, we're not encouraging haunted houses, but if individuals are to have a haunted house, they need to have specific requirements. So again, social distancing, face covering requirements, as well as effective cleaning protocols in place. And we will ask for individuals that are scheduling to have a haunted house, if you develop an operation plan, please send it to the City of St. Louis for us to review and provide feedback. That way we can make sure that the measures that will be implemented will do so in a way that's safe and responsible to protect the health of those that may participate.
Would you recommend drive-throughs, kind of like we've seen with the birthday parade, sort of thing like that?
Absolutely. So the goal is minimizing the risk of COVID-19 transmission. So even trunk or treats can be drive-by. You have prepackaged goodies, goodie bags. You can hand those out to the individuals as they pass through, minimizing the risk of exposure during the event.
I know this is a silly question, but I've seen it on Facebook, people wondering if their costume mask works as a regular mask. So if you can explain that to the folks at home.
That's great. So a costume mask can serve as a face covering. However, we also know that costume masks can become very hot if you're out and you're walking or running across through neighborhoods doing trick-or-treating. And so while the face covering or the mask is on, that can serve as a face covering. But if the costume mask is pulled off, there should be a surgical mask or some other face covering that they should be able to wear. Again, the goal is preventing transmission.
Doctor, what's the conventional wisdom among health officials? Do you expect a bump in the numbers after Halloween? Because it seems like when my kids were out, they would always get sick with something after Halloween. Should we just expect that we're going to see COVID numbers go up after Halloween?
So if the City of St. Louis residents and business owners, if they do it responsibly, we shouldn't see a bump. And so that's why we've taken the time to establish these critical guidelines to ensure that individuals can enjoy Halloween in a safe and responsible way without having subsequent repercussions.
Any other questions, guys?
Real quick, not Halloween related, but sports related, and all sports in the city. It looks like some schools earlier this week were talking about, I guess, after meetings with you moving forward, to go ahead and get all sports in. I guess, is that kind of where these high schools are still at with permission from you?
So we've established new guidelines for youth sports. And at this point, we've been looking at the data really closely. And so what we've noticed in the data, and also through our discussions with academic institutions, primarily primary and secondary institutions, is that there hasn't been a lot of transmission within schools. The majority of transmission associated with children has occurred in the community. At this point in time, less than 8% of the total number of COVID-19 cases in the city of St. Louis are amongst those aged 19 or less. So that means that the city of St. Louis has done an amazing job protecting the health of youth. And this hasn't been an easy feat. You know, in March, we prohibited all youth sports. Over the summer months, we kept that in place, and we also had significant restrictions on camps and recreational activities. And so not until September did we really loosen or crack the door open on youth sports. And so we're still in the process of gradually reopening or gradually re-socializing youth sports. But there's still a lot to do. Right now, where we are is the guidelines will allow individuals or primary and secondary institutions who are able to conduct at least biweekly testing for staff and athletes. They can resume competitions against other schools. For those who are not able to do that, they will have to adhere to the previous requirements, meaning that limiting their practices to intra-squad play. But there's also restrictions on attendance. So we're allowing for each athlete to have 2 attendees attend a game or an event. But those individuals have to adhere to our social distancing and face covering requirements. And failure to do so may result in the exclusion of their child from athletic activities for the remainder of the season.
You got time for 2 more.
Will you ask some questions of the mayor?
I don't know, Mayor, can I answer questions?
Of course.
Mayor, I just have a 2-point question about crime and punishment. A while ago, you signed the bill to shut down the workhouse eventually, and crime has gone up since then. And who knows why, but do you have any misgivings about that decision, and do you have any way to reverse course if, as a practical matter, you need more jail space?
Well, what the bill said, and it was passed, by the way, unanimously by the Board of Aldermen, is that we would seek to close the workhouse by the end of the year. And this afternoon, 1 o'clock, I believe, is the time, the Board of Aldermen Public Safety Committee is going to hear from Commissioner Glass, who is a consummate professional and an excellent person to run our corrections facilities. And I think what you've seen, if you've read his report, is that it's going to be very difficult to close MSI by December 31st until we're able to seek some additional beds somewhere else.
If you wanted to, could you issue an executive order and say, I'm keeping that jail open, we need to keep criminals off the street?
That's a legal question, I guess. I think we're going to close the MSI. When we close it, we'll do it in a safe manner. We won't close it until we can do it in a safe manner.
Anything else, guys?
Quick question about back to Halloween. In your neighborhood, on a typical Halloween, how many kids would come to your door, and what do you expect this year?
I live on a corner, as most everybody knows by now. I have hundreds of trick-or-treaters normally. And so I think this year that will need to look different because you can't have 20 kids unrelated all on your porch at the same time. What I hope will happen is that parents will, probably many of them will find other ways for their kids to celebrate Halloween, maybe a drive-through, maybe some other sort of situation, and so likely there'll be fewer trick-or-treaters this year.
Mayor, we haven't seen you in 5 months. Can you indulge one more question for me?
Of course. By the way, we were here yesterday, Kevin.
Yeah. All these Jersey barriers, these concrete barriers downtown, when are they going to come down? What's the criteria for saying, let's get back to normal?
Well, I think normal, which was a lot of speeding and reckless driving in downtown, is not something that we want to get back to. So the narrowing of the streets through the use of these barricades has been very helpful to our police department in terms of making arrests, towing cars, and reducing the amount of reckless driving that we have. So for right now, those barricades are going to be staying up. At some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, they will be lifted, but right now they're staying up.
What I mean is, what's the tripwire, the criteria for saying, okay, it's time to take them down?
It'll be when we can really have much less of the reckless driving in downtown.
Is it just going to move the problem elsewhere, though, within the city?
Well, I think that, that's always a problem with various interventions that you use, so you have to combine that intervention with law enforcement and with arrests and tickets and that sort of thing. You know, we've seen that over the years. This cruising and reckless driving is something that frankly is happening all over the country in various cities. I've seen a number of articles about it, and it's because our downtowns do not have the normal number of people on the street, going to work, going into offices, going to ball games, going to concerts. So that has left our streets more vacant than they normally are.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
We
you
got
all.
candy for you.
Appreciate you. Candy. Kevin, can we sweeten you up with candy?
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
There we go.
Everyone gets